All right, you guys should be able to hear me now. Um, I haven't done these live streams in a long time, so the audio settings somehow got screwed up on YouTube Studio. So you missed everything that I just said. You literally, the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds were a complete waste of time, a waste of my life, probably a waste of your life, and I'm sorry, we're not going to get that time back. Time is the most valuable thing. You just lost 2.5 minutes of it. Let's start from the top. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God. It feels fucking good to be back. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, and click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday, even if it's been a month. So I was explaining to you guys, first off, I miss doing the live streams, and it feels nice to be back. Combination of traveling, seeing family for the holidays, coming back, being a little inundated with work. I'm getting some additional responsibilities I found out about yesterday. And, it creates job security, but I'm trying to make that crypto, so I can't get sidetracked here. This is really going to be a life-changing year for many of us if you stay kind of honed in on what you're doing. But good to see everyone that's back. One of the other things I was commenting on, and let me turn off my VPN just to make sure that does not cause any issues. But one of the other things that I was talking about was even though I wasn't on YouTube updating you with chart analysis, if you are following me on X, okay, and I'm getting more accustomed to saying that name over Twitter, I've commented on certain and retweeted things I thought were bullshit. And just try to give you an overall sense of my view on the market and how I'm viewing things at the moment. But I did put I had some time to put a little bit of prep into today's live stream, trying to game plan what made the most sense to cover. So we're going to dive into a lot of charts. I'm not going to be concerned about how long it takes. This is my first day back. This could be a 30-minute live stream. It could be a 90-minute live stream. I have no idea, and I'm not concerned about that. So it's good to see everyone in here. I was saying super chats are never expected, but always appreciated. Todd, thank you very much. Rory, very good to see you. Always one of the first ones in here. Juan, I was expecting to see you. Nice to see you. Natty Light, I like the name there. Natty Light. That's a college beer. Thank you. Glad to be back. What's the deal with Harmony? Well, we can take a look at the chart if we have time. Sweet Bid McKee. This is the first time I've seen you on the live stream. Good to see you. Guys, we have a lot of charts to dive into. Once I get through all of the charts that I want to cover and give you my synopsis of the market, we'll see what time it is here, and I might have some time for some TA Q&A because we haven't done that forever. So it'd be nice to get some thoughts from you guys in terms of what charts you're taking a look at, what you're excited about, what you're concerned about, and getting my thoughts on it. So the first thing I want to explain to you, let's not get into the 12-hour, okay? The first thing I want to explain to you kind of big picture, because I think the most important conclusions that you can draw from today's live stream is big picture, right? What is the view big picture? I have been saying endlessly that my expectation is, okay, we're starting here, right? Don't pay attention to the price point, right? Whether it's here, let's say it's at the end of the year because I'm leaning that the top is going to come in towards the end of the year. Let's say that the top comes in somewhere around here, right? We don't know, okay? We don't know what's going to happen between point A and point B, okay? This is our starting point, all right? This is our ending point. There's all sort of traps along the way. There's pitfalls, meaning corrections. There's euphoric little runs here and little dumps. We don't care about this gobbledygook, okay? I spend way too much time, guys, more time than I care to admit, absorbing information concerning crypto and the overall market that I should not feel confident regarding my macro view. Now, I can't tell you, and I always say this, but I can't tell you with certainty, and no one can, exactly how everything is going to play out. But I feel like I am armed with the right tools, the price indicators, to tell me when it's time it'd be smart to start to sell. I have a video out there. I've told you about it. None of those triggers have fired. Again, point A to point B. We don't care about all this. There's going to be ups and downs. And you have to understand, especially if you spend a lot of time on X, there's a lot of emotion that's interjected into the market. People want to explain things away. From Donald Trump getting elected as president. People want to explain things away. Gary Gensler is removed from the SEC. He stepped down. Now, while I think these things are fundamental to the direction of the country, of the United States, and ultimately in many ways will cement the path moving forward, it doesn't change what's going to happen this year. Again, I just want to point you to this. This channel is called All in the Charts. Now, the reason it's called All in the Charts is because I believe everything that you need to do in order to make decisions from an investment perspective is in the chart. The chart's going to tell you that. I'm a data guy, okay? Nothing in the charts has changed. Nothing in the chart has changed, right? It doesn't matter if the first week of January played out relative to your expectation or not. Has the big picture changed? Hopefully by the end of today's live stream, you're going to say, oh, wow, the big picture has not changed. We just don't know that exact moment that Ethereum's going to start taking off. We don't know the exact moment that meme coins are going to start to take off again. We don't know the exact moment Caspa is going to finally fucking break 20 cents. We don't know, but we have to be patient, right? We need to be patient because we don't know the exact moment these things are going to happen. But we do know, based on all the homework and research and dedicated time that we've put into this market, we feel convicted on a hypothesis of what is to come this year. You understand what I'm saying? As an actuary, it's very similar to what I do in my profession. As an actuary, it's much more difficult, okay, if I'm a life actuary, much more difficult to project mortality trends every month, right? But over the long term of this year, I could give you a more accurate forecast of what I believe is going to happen based on the data. Same thing in the charts. I can't tell you what tomorrow's going to have for the market. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. And you shouldn't either as an investor. But what you should be concerned is what's going to happen this year. What are my expectations for this year? What am I going to use to tell me to successfully ladder out of my positions and sell? When am I going to start selling? I'm not going to be able to sell the top, but I'm going to pick logical points to start scaling out 20, 30% when the data tells me so. Now, when we take a look at the Bitcoin 12-hour chart, which is what we spend a lot of time taking a look at, what are you noticing on this chart? Now, back here, when everything was, again, doom and gloom, and we were back here in the $50,000 range, guys, what was I saying on this live stream nonstop? When we were all the way down here, what did I say? We had a low. This must have gotten erased, or maybe not. A low, a higher low. We have a high. We have another higher low. A higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Again, focus on the basics this whole time. And I was live streaming every single day except Friday. Every day I came out here, I said, let's just focus on what the chart's doing. Higher highs and higher lows, and lo and behold, we've broken out. Now, if we're going to update this chart, what we can do, and again, I want you to tell me if anything has changed in this chart. I'm not going to put in every single higher high and higher low. I'm going to put in the ones that make sense. Now you tell me, has anything changed on this chart? We went from a higher high and higher low here up to another higher high and higher low here. For the moment, we've tapped this area. Now, one of the most basic premises that I've told you in technical analysis, which is just a fact, it's not my opinion, it's a fact, the more times we hit an area of price confluence, whether it's a ceiling of resistance or a floor of support, it gets weaker. It doesn't. It's expressing. Now, don't miss this. this is expressing some level of strength that we haven't pushed. We haven't managed to push back above 108. But the more, you see how price is consolidating right here? Again, the concern would be if we just started to roll over and take out this low, and now we're coming down here. It's going to take us a longer time to recover, and we have to reevaluate the chart. That's not what we're doing. Again, don't allow your emotions to dictate your view. Don't allow your short-term, impatient emotions because you want to be a rich crypto millionaire overnight, which is not reality for 99% of you, to dictate your view of the market. If you want to take it from somebody who's been here for a long time at this point, if you want to be successful in this market, do your homework, do your due diligence, be careful the information you're ingesting, and be careful who you're listening to. X follower count means nothing, okay? Understand the content and where it's coming from, the educated viewpoint or non-educated viewpoint. And then you have to stay convicted. You got invested in something for a reason. Has anything materially changed in the chart, right? We used Casper as a great example of something materially changing in the chart and why you should have gotten out of it. We used Caspa as an example that while the emotions are all high over a 12, 13, 14-month consolidation, nothing has changed. I remain convicted. It's my number one altcoin holding. Here, we have topped this area and it's expressing some level of strength. But the more we consolidate in this area around this 103, 104, 102 area up to 108, and we come back up here, the next time we come up to 108, it's going to be that much weaker of a resistance. It's like a chisel hitting the ceiling, and eventually it's going to give way. So whether it's the next tap of 108, which I suspect, or whether it's the second tap of 108, this thing's going to give way. And then you're going to have Bitcoin breaking out to another new all-time high. And where's it going to stop? 120, 115, 130, 135, 150? I don't know, but it's very bullish for the market. We'll allow the price indicators to tell us how overheated we are relative to historic levels. But right now, we're also breaking out of a pennant. Is this not a pennant? And we'll see this on a higher time frame. This is a pennant. We have clear downward resistance here. Now this is beautiful because I hit on this point a lot on this live stream. Look what happened as we broke the resistance here. We came up, okay? We got a decent amount of resistance here, so we failed initially. What did we do? We came down and we hit this area right here that was once resistance and is now support, okay? Very, very bullish. All we did was come down and backtest a prior area of descending resistance, which is now acting as support, which is demonstrated by the price wicks bouncing right off of here. Remember, I've said on the live stream plenty of times, when you come down in this fashion and you backtest downward resistance like this and you springboard off of it, it oftentimes catapults you. It's like a spring, okay? It catapults you to new highs. So something to watch out for there once we come back up to 108. Now let's take a look at the weekly chart. When we look at the weekly chart, I mean, what in the hell are we bearish about here? And I ask you, if we pull up the price indicators, okay, look at what's happening here. You tell me, does that MACD not look bullish? Yes, it is. Stochastic RSI. So let's talk about the stochastic RSI and the RSI. Now, it's very obvious on the RSI. I have 70 indicated here. We've spent plenty of time in the past. I'm not going to regurgitate the same thing that I've spoken to ad nauseum. But case in point is, once you see this RSI on the weekly for Bitcoin print a confirmation above 70, even though being above 70 on your relative strength index does demonstrate being overbought, that historically is when you see the biggest explosive moves in Bitcoin. So the RSI right now is at 69, something I don't know a lot about. It's at 69, all right? We're getting real close to 70. And I'm nowhere near close to 69, but we are close to breaking above 70. So that is a very, very bullish item on the weekly chart. And again, one of the basic things that I also tell you as we pull up the stochastic RSI here is that the views that, here's the thing, especially if you're newer to the market, you should be paying a lot more attention to a weekly chart, a monthly chart, a 2-month chart. For the people who are a little bit more seasoned, you can get into these granular views of a daily, 12-hour, 3-day chart. and having an understanding of what's going on in the lower time frames can help you because, as I often say, the bullish price action, if you understand it, whether it's bearish or bullish, that price action on the lower time frames eventually bleeds over, okay, into the higher time frames. And that should intuitively make sense. We're talking about the same chart. We're just looking at it at a more granular level. You're getting below the surface and saying, uh-oh, this is real concerning, or wow, this is really exciting. And eventually that's going to bubble over to the surface. That's the way you can think about it being the higher time frame charts. Now, when we go back to the weekly, the other bullish thing about this chart right now that we want to see play out, we're getting close to, this stochastic RSI is something to keep an eye on going into the month of February. Typically, the larger moves that take place are when we're up in this area. And historically, if you go back on the chart, on a weekly chart, what you will also see is we tend to stay up here for an extended period of time. And oftentimes, once we start to drop here on the stochastic RSI, price often is still moving up, or at least consolidating at a peak. So we still have a lot of room to the upside, and I want to see the stochastic RSI moving up towards 100. If we go into the monthly chart, guys, this is a bull pennant that we've spent a lot of time talking about. Now, this view should give you a lot of confidence, and we'll get into why, but the basic reason, without getting into the bullish price indicators first in the chart, this is a high time frame view. This is a 1 month chart, okay? And it's looking uber bullish. If we put the technical target on here, you take the pole, you put it at the point of breakout, the technical target is around $160,000, up towards $160,000. Again, I'll tell you the same range that I gave my family before we started this year. I don't know. I think I developed my range late last year. I came up with, my best educated guess is Bitcoin's going to top out somewhere between 110 and 180. Now, clearly, having already hit 108,000 already and what I'm anticipating to unfold this year, I think it's going to be on the upper end towards 180. We'll see. I don't think we're going to hit 200,000, but we'll allow the charts to tell us what is most and least likely. So a couple things going on this chart that I want to talk about and make sure you have a clear understanding of. First off, we've broken out of the bull pennant. This candle right here, this is a very bearish candle that we printed in December. So having some bullish momentum and follow through in the month of January is very critical, because if this candle prints anywhere near where it's at right now, could print at 104, could print at, this thing could print at just above $100,000. As long as we print, I would say, above $100,000, this is going to be a bullish engulfing candle. So even though this kind of throws you, it's like, December throws you a curveball, right? You got to keep in mind this market, no matter how long or short a period of time you've been here, if you compare this asset class to the entire world, right, and you're actually taking a look at market caps, look, we got what are we at right now? $3.6 trillion market. That's like tiddlywinks compared to the rest of the assets that are out there, real estate, gold. I think gold by itself is at 8 to 12, I think it's like 12 trillion at this point. So the level of volatility that presents itself in an immature space like this with small market caps is extreme. It's very high, right? And it's the reason why you can be so potentially lucrative in this market is risk, okay, and volatility. It runs both. People often think of volatility and risk going to the downside. That is true. It's to the downside, but it's also to the upside. With greater risk comes the greater possibility of a greater return, right? So we're going to experience some of that volatility. But the other thing before we get into the price indicators that I wanted to show you here is I was taking a look at this recently, and this wasn't something I've shared with you before, and I'll get to the comments in a moment. I see a few comments coming in. I want to make sure to acknowledge everyone and thank you for showing up today after being offline for a little while. This ascending line here starting in 16, you can see this. We rode this thing all the way up, okay, to our euphoric top. We came below the line right here, temporarily got back above it, broke down below, and then eventually had another euphoric top. And what I'm trying to point to is all the euphoric tops happened above this line, right? Up. Above this line. This was shorter. Up. And once we got back below, correction, right? Well, look, there's a similar dynamic playing out right now that should give you another certain degree of confidence regarding price action. You can see here we broke below in that terrible time in the market that we will not talk about, when CBG had a portfolio of Lamborghinis and it was turned into a portfolio of Geometros. We don't want to go back to that time period because it brings back bad memories, okay? So we came back down here, but what are you noticing about this trend line? So we take a look at the trend line here, right? We got back above it here. We temporarily broke back below it. We just broke back above it, right? So I would anticipate as we continue to see bullish momentum come into the market, and no matter where prices go, I expect us to ride this trend line, and a good signal to us, okay? A good signal that we're having a true breakdown in momentum and price. Another indication we could look at is this trend line. Once we start riding this thing up, wherever we top out up here, once we start to break this line, whether it's at 130,000 or 120 or 110, whatever the case is, that should give us an indication. But right now we're above that trend line, indicating a significant shift back up in momentum to the upside. Now, when we go to price indicators, guys, I don't know what to tell you if, again, I recognize everyone here is at a different level with respects to technical analysis, okay? So for those of you who are well-versed, you should know where I'm going with my commentary and why I'm excited at this view. For those of you who are not well-versed, let me explain this to you. This is bullish AF, okay? You got dark green histograms and a MACD moving up with the blue above the orange. Bullish AF. We have an RSI that is well above 70, and we already talked about the significance of a weekly RSI above 70. What do you think I'm going to tell you if you haven't been here before about a higher time frame monthly view when the RSI gets back above 70? Bullish AF. And when we look at the stochastic RSI, Jesus Almighty, thank you very much, baby Jesus, we are pressing up towards 100, okay? Green Jesus candles are coming around the corner. We just need to be patient, guys. There isn't anything, again, if you've been on this live stream for a while, you know as animated as I get and as excited as I get, just because it's my honest personality if you met me in person. The reality is you know that I keep it very real on this live stream. If something changes in a chart that gives me room to hesitate and rethink my primary view on the market, or my primary view on a chart, I tell you guys. I've told you guys, and I've demonstrated that level of integrity plenty of times. There's nothing on this chart that gives me pause. It actually gets me very excited. When we get into, what is this, a 2-month chart, one of the things I was showing here is clear consolidation for a little bit, right? Similar to what we saw here. Once we broke to the upside, big movement up. We've just begun to clear that zone, right? On the price indicators, okay, so this is an important point to make. This was something I saw and wanted to make sure I spoke to. First off, you got the stochastic RSI on the 2-month at 100. Now again, similar to what I said on the weekly on the monthly, the biggest moves tend to happen when that stochastic RSI sets 100 and it stays up there for a little while. So it's good to see that up there. MACD looks great, but I want to bring your attention to the RSI. Now again, 2-month chart. So the current candlestick represents the months of January and February, okay? And so this candlestick will not print until the end of February. So we have a lot of time. I'll tell you what we don't want to see. What we don't want to see, you can see we have some descending resistance right here. By the time this candlestick prints, I don't want to see this touch this gray line because that's one caution flag I would throw up in terms of where we're at in the market cycle, okay? So ideally what I'd like to see is it prints somewhere under here and then come up here, whether it's in, that would be March, April, or we just barely miss it and then we come up here later in 2025. But something to keep an eye on. Again, think of it this way, guys. Just like with charts, right? Just like with charts, we have descending resistance here. It's not that we can't break out above it, right? okay? Back test it, move up. We could certainly do that here, but given the historical context here of 6 to 7 years of price data and us maintaining an area of lower highs here, it's something to be mindful of on the 2-month chart. Let me get into the comments because I see some comments coming in, and I want to thank whoever has shown up to the live stream. Josh, let's fucking go. Real good to see you, man. Kyle, very happy to see you on the live stream. Earthwalker, as always, good to see you. And Jeprox. I have CAS up. Don't worry, my friend. I'm planning on talking to it. It's my largest altcoin holding. And I know there's a lot of people who tune in who have CASPA, so I want to make sure to speak to it. But I think it's most important to cover the King Crypto project because that's going to lead the direction for the rest of the market, as I've said oftentimes. Good to see you too. Raghorn is a regular, and I appreciate him coming on the live stream. Bitcoin dominance. Now, this has gotten a lot of attention, and I thought I'd offer a different view, right? For a long time, we've talked about the rising wedge, right? You certainly shouldn't be investing in something that has a rising wedge, right? Unless you have proof that you believe that it's vertical accumulation, which does happen. Typically, a rising wedge is a bearish formation, so we knew more than likely this thing was going to break down. Now, what I've done is I've taken a more granular view of this chart to show you visually what I'm looking at. And one of the reasons it also gives me confidence that this thing's going to break down. This is on a smaller time frame Bitcoin dominance. It's a 3-day chart. Pay attention very carefully. Since the beginning of 2024, the dotted line represents an area of support. We broke down below, okay? Now again, this was an ascending area of support. We broke down below it. We temporarily pushed above it, broke down below it again, and now we're trying to get above it. Now, what I'm suspecting is we're not ultimately going to close a 3-day candlestick above this dotted line here. That eventually this thing is going to roll over shortly, actually, relatively shortly in my opinion. And we're going to see whether or not this green line here, okay, we're going to see if the higher highs hold up, because if it does bounce off of here and maintain a higher high, chances are we could come up and maybe break and come back in here, but I'm not expecting that. So we'll have to see. So again, there's a couple things to pay attention to. First off, the ascending line of support, breaking below it, will we get back above it? I don't suspect so. The other point of confluence here is this descending gray line. Look at the resistance here, guys. Resistance, resistance. We're pressed up against resistance on two fronts, the ascending line to get above it and the descending line that we can't get back above. So we have two areas of resistance wanting to hammer down Bitcoin dominance. And for those new to the channel, the reason that we'd want Bitcoin dominance to lower itself is, what does that actually represent? Well, a lower dominance of Bitcoin in the market means altcoins represent a larger market share. Altcoins are running hard, okay? And so we have two areas of resistance here that we're battling. We have this ascending area we're going to watch, and then our line in the sand. Once this line breaks, I'll tell you what I'm suspecting. Once this line here breaks, we're going to fall back to the low 50 area range. We're not going to double tap this and start moving up, guys. We're going to break this and create a new low. And then a key area I'm looking at is 53%. Once 53% breaks, my next main area is 48, as you can see here. And then we have this sort of ascending line of support that we'll have to see if it holds. This is the ascending line of support here. This is not proper technical analysis to have a line go through candles like this. Please understand this was drawn on a different time frame, but it's a very valid line on I believe it's either a weekly or 2-week chart. Either way, those are my areas of price confluence. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, we're pressed right up against resistance here, guys. We are on the precipice. Let me create some additional light here. Sorry. We are on the precipice right now of breaking out in the market. Okay. And specifically what I mean by that is we are on the precipice of whether it occurs next week or whether it occurs 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, whatever the case is. You just got to hold on a little bit longer, because in generalities, what I'm suspecting, and we'll take a look at the charts here in a moment to support my thought process, Ethereum is going to go on a run. No, everyone is shitting on Ethereum. Remember, everyone was shitting on XRP. XRP made a pretty big move, and I stand by what I said. The move from 50 cents to 250, that 5x, is the greatest rate of return you're going to see from starting at the 250 level. That 250 is not going to pull a 5x, in my opinion. I don't see that happening. 3 to 5 was my main target. We're already over 3. 7 is the most opportunistic or most positive view I can get on XRP. I've seen a few people throw around whose opinions I value, say $10. So I give some credence to $10, but I'm more in the camp $5 to $7. The point is, everyone was shitting on XRP and it went on a massive run. Ethereum, the thought process and the views on Ethereum are in the gutter right now. And quite oftentimes, not all the time, but if you know what it is and you're well versed in said asset that is being dumped on verbally and emotionally within this little echo chamber on X, it can benefit you tremendously, because those oftentimes are the best times to be investing. Look, CASP has been getting shit on for a while. Once we break 20 cents, that motherfucker's going to explode. But again, we are on the precipice of waiting for confirmation of a true alt season, okay? In a true alt season, you're going to see many things occur. You're going to see the Ethereum BTC relativity chart begin to recover hard, okay? You're going to see Ethereum breaking all-time highs. Once Ethereum breaks all-time highs, by the way, you're going to see a lot of liquidity flood into not only Ethereum projects, but just the entire ecospace, okay? And the reason is you have to think about the market psychology and who is coming into the market. If Ethereum and your majors are doing well, if XRP is firing off, and look at Solana. We don't have to spend a lot of time on Solana. Solana's pressed right up against the all-time highs. You're telling me we've come all the way up here, pressing up against this 260, 270 level, now we're just going to roll over? And no, that's not going to happen, okay? Again, if you understood anything I said prior about resistance, when it's hit multiple times like this, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. It's demonstrating resistance and strength, but it's getting weaker, okay? You have a lot of strength coming in here. You have a lot of strength coming in here. And soon you're going to have a lot of strength. We're actually not that far away from all-time highs, okay? Up towards 4,800. But think about what that signals to the market. If your major altcoins that everyone knows and is familiar with, and let's lump Binance in there because the BNB coin is something we really don't chart out a lot and talk about, but it's also another very important large altcoin. When BNB, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP are all performing extremely well, what that does is it reinvigorates the market and it instills confidence. And that confidence, what goes alongside with the confidence in the market is, wow, we're back. I can make a lot of money. Ethereum's already been running. Solana's already been running. XRP's had its run. I don't think this thing's going to $20, $30. I'm actually logical. And so what I want to do is I want to take some more risk-on bets, some things that haven't run, some cheap tokens, okay? That's how the euphoria builds in the market. It's through instilled confidence. And then you have the people that don't know what they're doing, who aren't in the market, seeing what's going on, and they jump in and they start throwing capital in, which is more liquidity into meme coins and utility projects and layer ones and new listings on Coinbase and Binance, okay? And that's what starts to build up a snowball effect that leads to a euphoric top in the market, right? Where do I want to go next? I did want to talk about Caspa. There's not a lot of updates, quite honestly, that I have on Caspa. Again, my feeling was once we reclaimed 14 cents, we would come up towards 18 to 20 cents fairly quickly. It hasn't happened. However, the main thing to keep in mind here is we still have a low, a high, and a higher low. This is not obviously a higher high. I'm sketching out what I want to see here. I mean, essentially what you want to do is reclaim this as support, reclaim this area as support, and then finally bust a nut and break to the upside and start heading towards 30 plus cents. So just remain patient. Nothing has changed with this chart. I will reiterate, JetRocks, what I have said in the past, and nothing has changed. When you consolidate this long, okay, in this space, Think about how long this consolidation has been. I have theorized that because we've spent so much time, and you could actually argue 15 to 20 cents, because we've spent so much time solidifying a base around 15 to 20 cents, 10 cents, but let's use the top and say 20 cents, you can work backwards and theorize what a market cycle top might be in CASPA by saying, hey, we took so much time to establish a base here, we're not breaching it. At worst, we'll come back down to 10 cents. At best, we're not going below 20 cents. And you can kind of work backwards on historical corrections in the market and then theorize, oh, wow, CASPA might top at $3 or $4 or $2 or whatever the case is when you do the math. I did it before and tweeted about it. But that's the update on CASPA. Did want to talk about the total market. This is something that is actually, if you go to my X profile, you will see this as a pinned tweet up here. Again, just trying to, at the top of the live stream, I had mentioned this. Just trying to keep you guys current and updated on the market when it makes sense. And so even when I was with my family, I had my time with my family, I wasn't as present on X and charting or anything like that. You know, I'd chart some mornings and kind of see the market. There was some pessimism coming into the market because, again, what you have is an echo chamber of emotional people, right? And sometimes the loudest voice is heard, but not the smartest voice, okay? That's quite often the case. So what I wanted to do was just try to help reinstill some confidence of some people who are a little wary out there and just not to overcomplicate this. When we look at this chart, I mean, you tell me, and again, we've spent a lot of time on this live stream talking about cyclical action in the market and why it exists. I believe that the liquidity, okay, the interest rate, environment, all of that stuff, capital injections into the market, all of that stuff, and debt maturities and needing to get rolled over at lower interest rates, so much shit that I've spent so much time, material I've been absorbing, that ultimately dictates the appreciation and asset values in the market and depreciation of assets in the market. That's what we're seeing playing out here. Call it coincidental, call it whatever you want, but these roughly 4-year liquidity cycles correspond with election cycles, and they correspond with the halving, 4-year halving for Bitcoin. Call it coincidental, call it what you will. But historically in the past, this green box is showing you what is the price action been. You know, we had this little rise in price here. We had this little rise in price here. And we've had this little rise in price here. The green box represents December through the end of the preceding year. It also represents the inauguration year of a new president, okay? And the topping of a true liquidity cycle, okay? All these things line up. So, again, you and I cannot sit here and state with 100% confidence anything. I say this over and over and over again. And as a numbers guy, where was I? I said, I was at UPS. And I was mailing something the other week. And the UPS guy said, I asked him, I was sending something 3-day mail. And I said, what's the probability that it's longer than 3 days? And he said, it's 99% certain that it's going to get there. And he explained that sometimes a plane can get delayed or whatever the case is. It happens once in a while. And I was like, I'm fixated on numbers. You're truly telling me at 99% probability. I have a hard time believing that. I get very fixated on numbers because I'm a fucking actuary. I'm a numbers guy. I can't help it. It's the way I'm built. It's the way God built me. And so when someone says that they feel 100% certain of something, you really got to be careful with the information you're digesting from that individual. I can do all the analysis on this chart that I want and come up with this beautiful color-coded rocket ship chart. The reality is I can't predict the future. I have no fucking idea with 100% certainty what's going to happen here. We could just roll over, right? But if we put aside the emotions and we use the data, the only data that we have to support a hypothesis for this year, it's telling us we have a lot of upside. It's also telling us that we have a higher likelihood of topping in the market towards the end of the year. Now, again, will these 4-year cycles continue indefinitely? No. Come on, guys. History, it's funny. the saying goes, history doesn't repeat but often rhymes, right? Well, it's also true that there are certain dynamics in the market that are going to change over time. Something about the economy, the financial world, it'll change, and then asset values from a cyclical nature will change. But for now, we can have all sorts of conjecture and fun talking about what could happen 10 or 20 years from now. We're only concerned about this year. And this year, there's no reason to believe that what has happened in generalities will look something like one of these two or a blend of both, right? Could Bitcoin top in the first half of this year? Constantly, I've seen people people are just fascinated and feel, they feel a need to call a top on Bitcoin and when it's going to top. And I saw people coming out, some people I follow, saying, yeah, Bitcoin's going to top in December. And now people are saying Bitcoin's going to top in March. And look, keep moving the fucking goalposts. The point is, first off, and I've said this before, I'm not concerned with knowing when the top is. I'm concerned, okay? That was the fallacy. Let me make this, I have no problem sharing with you mistakes I've made in the market because I genuinely hope you benefit from it. That was the mistake I made here. I had a lot, guys, my portfolio was worth a lot up here. And I rode this motherfucker, for the most part, all the way down because my notion was the market had to go higher. I had price targets, right? My sell strategy was completely flawed. Now, you have two opportunities at that point. You can either walk away and be defeated, or you can take the opportunity to grow as an individual, and you can learn from that experience and say, what could I do differently moving forward to increase the likelihood of a positive outcome? That's what I've done. I believe I have a bulletproof sell strategy. It's just based on price indicators, a handful, not to overcomplicate my life. They're going to tell me when the market historically has been overheated and you should start selling. Now, again, it doesn't matter if it happens in the first half or the second half of this year, and I should even extend this, but it doesn't matter if it happens in the first half or the second half of this year. We have the price indicators to tell us. We're just saying that more than likely you can see Bitcoin topped out at the end of 2021. We topped out at the very end of 2017. So more than likely, we're not going to top out till sometime out here, like right in this little area, right at the end of this year, maybe even going into 2026. Okay, that's more than likely. But this chart is looking uber bullish. Ethereum, we spent time talking about. I don't really need to spend a lot of time. This is a 2-week chart. We just want to start clearing up above areas of resistance here at 3,900 up towards 4,800. Once we break 40, again, my targets for Ethereum, just to let you know, are 8,000 to 15,000, right? Oh, CBG, why do you have such a wide range on your targets? Because it's a very volatile market. Nobody knows. We can sit here and come up with market cap estimates. We can sit here and come up with Fibonacci extensions. The point is nobody knows. I think 8 to 15 is a very reasonable range, though. XRP, we've already talked about. One thing I would caution you on with XRP, two things. You know, I was going to join a Spaces tonight. I just don't have the capacity based on everything on my plate. If you're not, did he message me back? Oh, no, he didn't message me back yet. I'll retweet the Spaces tonight, but there is a Spaces if anyone's interested on X. I'm not going to be able to watch it this evening. I'm going to watch the recording, but I plan to share some comments with the host if he feels inclined to share them to get some feedback from those who are in attendance. But it's going to be a discussion on XRP, an asset I'm very well versed in. But we are overheated on this RSI. Now, a couple things to pay attention to. It is true. You do see the largest moves in XRP occur when the RSI is above 70. I would caution you, though, because this is extremely overheated, headed towards areas up here of 96 where it has historically led to a cyclical top, okay? The other thing I'm going to be watching for here is, it would be very bullish if we can clear descending resistance, but if we start doing one of these things with the RSI and create some negative divergence, I mean, ultimately that's going to play out and we'll have a big move and correction to the downside. For those of you listening right now, and I'm not hating on XRP, I'm being realistic with this asset like I am with any other. For those of you right now who think you'll never see a sub $1 XRP again, I got news for you. If my estimates are correct and XRP tops out, somewhere around $5 to $7, let's say $7, okay? $7. Historically, you're going to see around a 90% plus correction. A 90% correction from 70 cents alone, or from $7 alone, is a 70-cent XRP. You'll see a sub $1 XRP again, guys. But look, it's been an extremely strong performing asset, and I'm extremely happy for anyone who has benefited financially from being invested in this, especially people who have been in it for a long time. Just be careful who you listen to, because again, I do not think a $20 or $30 XRP is reasonable. We have to consider the fact that right now we're sitting at, I want to put this in market cap terms for you. So you're telling me a $182 billion market cap project, which has never even seen 500 billion, right? 500 billion would be a little under a 3x from here. It'd be $9, right? It'd be $8 or whatever. We haven't even seen 500 billion, but you're telling me we're going to get up to 20 or 30, which is a 1 to 1.5 trillion dollar market cap. Bitcoin right now is at 2. It's just, I don't see that in the cards. If it happens, look, I'm happy for everybody. I just don't see it happening. Ethereum, we talked about. XRP, Solana, we spent a little bit of time talking about here. Things look good. One thing I did want to point out on the Solana chart for those invested, we do have some descending resistance coming in here that has existed since 2023. Ideally, what we'd like to see on the Solana chart is for a move to break the descending resistance, but we'll have to see. My suspicion is this is actually going to hold up, but we'll have to see. There's always a scenario where you could break the resistance and we double top somewhere up here, which would be much more bullish for the price action. But my suspicion is a lot of these charts over time, they weaken and create negative divergences like this. So we'll have to see if that holds credence at all. Wanted to take a look at total others, and then I'm going to take a look at what time it is, and we'll see if I can't get into any TA questions for you guys, since I haven't been here for a little bit. I should be here tomorrow, though. So if we only get to a couple questions today, I should have plenty of time tomorrow. One of the things that I wanted to point out to you, so I've spent more time with you guys focusing on the total others chart. And the reason that I've spent so much time looking at the total others chart is because total 2 is essentially way too skewed by Ethereum, okay? Even though it's starting to make up a smaller percentage of the market cap. Total 2 is just stripping out Bitcoin. It's looking at Ethereum and all other altcoins. And so because the market cap is so high for Ethereum, you could even say XRP and Solana, it just skews the vision of the altcoin market. Then you look at Total 3. Well, Total 3 takes out Ethereum. You still got the top 10 in there. And the size of those markets, think about a Wojak. Wojak's like $50 million. It's not even a billion. You have market caps in the 10, 20, 30 billion dollar, 100 billion plus dollar. So it drowns out the volatility and the price action that we see on some of those smaller alts that we want to capture. Total others is the best way to go. I don't know of another chart on here. I'd be curious if others have any. Never asked the question, but is there a better altcoin view to look at if you want to get into the smaller tokens? This is going to take out the top 10. So now we have a lot of the altcoins you guys are in, and we can really assess what's going on with the price action here. I forget if I posted this out. Let's have some fun here. What do you think that I'm showing here? What I'm showing is 4 years ago, around the same time, in January, okay? In January, we saw a 32% correction, and then we saw over a 700% upside, okay? Now, a lot of people are believing, okay, there's a couple merits. I think I can see the argument both ways. One, the market cap is growing, so there should be less volatility, less upside. The other thing is if there is more liquidity and euphoria within the market conditions are ripe, there's no reason this year can't be an epically better year than 2021. What are we seeing right now in the month of January, right around the same time frame? We saw a 35, 36% correction. Okay, 32, 36, we're splitting hairs. It's a 30% correction, right? A 700% move to the upside from here would put us over $2 trillion. We're sitting at a market cap of 300. Guys, we are sitting in total others. Let me put this in perspective. Ethereum has a higher market cap than total others. So when you look at all of the altcoins outside of the top 10, The combined market capitalization of that is more than 10% less than Ethereum. Now, a couple points to take away from that. If I'm telling you a $3,000 Ethereum is going to 2.5 to 5x, okay, 2.5 to 5x from here, what do you think is possible for some of your stronger charts and stronger narratives in this space, like memes, which I've been hitting on? What do you think is going to happen to those assets when the market gets frothy if Ethereum can do a 2.5 to 5x? What do you think is going to happen? You think a 10x is possible? You think some of these could pull a 20x? You think some of these could pull a 50x? And do you think some of these could pull a 100x? All of the above. All of the above. The other thing to take away from this chart that shouldn't be missed on total others, what are we actually saying if we say a 700% upside? If this truly does, and I forget what I had projected out. Maybe I can take a look at it between today and tomorrow. I projected out either 2 trillion or 3 trillion for total others. And this, if we get a similar rate of appreciation, it's right in that ballpark. I'll have to take a look for that chart. But anyway, what is this also conceptually saying? This point should not be missed on you. Please do not miss this. If we are saying that total others is going to move up over 700%, which is a 7x, that 7x is calculated as a weighted average of every altcoin based on market cap, right? So a $10 billion coin, its rate of appreciation will be magnified 10 times more than a $1 billion market cap. And if you're in a $1 billion market cap and you're in a really strong project, what this is telling you is you could potentially be in something that is going to more than 7x. But if your altcoin portfolio in total others is on par with an average rate of return, right? If you look at all your altcoins outside of the top 10, it's telling you should, if you're performing at market levels, you should expect a 7x. You should expect the altcoins you're holding to 7x on average, okay? In total, okay? You're holding, let's say, 3 or 4. They should 7x in total. Maybe one 3x's, another 30x's, whatever the case. It weights out to 7. If you're exceeding a 7x, now you're outpacing the market. If you're under a 7x, now you're underperforming the market. So that's the way to look at this. But clearly we're in a parabola. I think I drew the parabola based on a weekly. Guys, we're in a parabola. Look at the parabola here. Look at the parabola. Is this not a parabola? If you understand what a parabola is, maybe you don't. I don't know. A parabola, you can see more shallow pullbacks. At some point, you just start to really take off, and then once you break the parabola, there's it's a bubble. It's a massive correction, but we're nowhere near there yet. Let's see who is in the live stream. Guys, I'm going to take a couple charting questions. We're running up against an hour. Like I said, it doesn't bother me, or not bother me. I don't mind it one bit. I'll probably take just a couple charting questions, and then I will be back here tomorrow. So I'll have a dedicated segment to TA Q&A. Of course, tomorrow, kind of looking at the market. I talk about not talking about the day-to-day, but my expectation is just based on where we're at in the market is whether it's tomorrow or Friday. We're definitely going to see a solid green day very shortly here. So hopefully it's tomorrow. I'd like to come on with a little bit of exuberance, and people can come on and ask questions. Let me get off these charts here. I'm coming to the comments, and maybe I'll definitively take the first 2 charting questions, and then we'll see if we have time for a third one. And maybe I'll also base it on my personal interest in what you're asking me to chart. Cass, we took a look at. Jep Rocks, super cycle is a subjective term. I would caution you from ingesting material that says this is a super cycle. Let me tell you my thoughts on how I perceive a super cycle to be. A super cycle is people saying Michael Saylor. A super cycle is saying Elon Musk and Donald Trump and all pro-crypto people. Super Cycle is saying BlackRock. And so basically what I'm saying is Super Cycle is an emotional word that invokes euphoria among market participants that quite oftentimes leads to unrealistic expectations. I just came up with that on the spot, but that was pretty damn good. I'm going to rewind this and maybe put it in quotes on X. That is my view of a super cycle. You got to stay grounded. Could Bitcoin go over $200,000 this year? Yeah, it's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. But again, we're going to allow the charts to tell us what's going to happen. Maybe Bitcoin goes much higher than I think it's going to. Maybe XRP fucking blows past $1 trillion, and I'm completely wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong. Because if there's that much, if XRP can hit $1 trillion, there is going to be so much liquidity in this market to, again, talk about euphoria, okay? Talk about euphoria. People completely missed. Let me know if you voted. You don't have to tell me how you voted. But I put out this vote, which was interesting. I put out this one. Am I the only one who sees the Trump coin as a good thing for just how much FOMO that will occur this year? The question that I was asking the audience, and I'm hopeful that it says yes, you're alone, 57%. I'm hopeful that the 57% of the 186 votes, I am hopeful that they misinterpreted the question. The question was not, is the Trump coin overall good for the market and it's going to be a long-standing project and be successful for years to come and it's a great thing? That was not the question. The question is this year. We are focused on this year. We are focused on the opportunity that we do not want to allow to slip between our fingertips this year. Again, take it from someone who had it and lost it. It's not fucking happening this time. This year is what we're focused on, and we're making rational decisions based on this year. Why would the Trump coin not be good for this year? Please tell me. Let me tell you my perception of the Trump coin. Do you know what the Trump coin does? It validates the space. The President of the United States of America, I never thought I would say this, created a fucking meme coin. What do you think that's going to do in terms of market participant views of the market? What other memes are there? There's excitement. There's eyeballs on this thing. If you have more eyes on the market, as long as it's not FTX, or Luna, if you have a lot of eyes and attention on the market, there is an opportunity to get excited by it. It is a vote of confidence. It's also a signal to projects. Like, we used to be so constrained. If the President of the United States can just fucking come out, list a meme coin, it gets listed on Coinbase everywhere, I'm fucking coming out with whatever project they want. There's going to be so much hype in this space. This is a very good thing. Believe it or not, if you didn't recognize this, in my opinion, I feel very confident in making the statement. This is ultimately a very good thing if you want to see more fear of missing out by market participants, which will lead to increased liquidity coming into the market from stupid people. I hate to call a spade in this, for instance, but I am. You have dumb people coming into the space. It also just creates FOMO among market participants who are actively here. Bottom line is, this is a good thing. Do I think we're going to ultimately have a super cycle? I don't pay attention to that word. I allow the charts to dictate things. It's a subjective term, and I don't like to feed into that emotional narrative. Okay, so we have Track. I got to take Track's question. Thank you, Track. I just saw your comment. Welcome back. Good to see you on the live stream. So we got Polygon. We got XDC. We've got Faux. Is it a cup and handle ready to break out to Solana Dex? 4-hour chart. Juan, believe it or not, I actually agree with you. Michael Saylor is a future black swan. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to focus on the excitement that's to come. Whatever the narrative is for the major correction we're going to see in the market, I've been theorizing myself it's going to have something to do with Michael Saylor, but we'll see. I personally I've told you guys, there's something that's off with him. I've been saying this for a couple of years now. I just think there's something off with this guy. He just doesn't. There's just something about him. Memes do bring normies to the space. I want to answer Track's question because Track usually has, or always has, speaking of Trump coin, Track always has good questions and good things to chart here. So let's take a look at Polygon. They rebranded, didn't they? Yeah, and you know what sucks? I'm pretty sure you lose all the price at. Maybe you don't lose all the price action. So this is a fresh chart. It's a weekly chart, and this is the correct chart. For some reason, I thought the ticker changed. I don't know. I haven't been really paying attention to Matic. So clearly, a couple things to point out in this chart. First off, we have clear descending resistance, right, that we're going to want to keep an eye on. It's POL. Is this the right? No, it is the right chart, isn't it? Is it the right chart? That's not. Okay. It's not the right chart. Like, I don't even know what the hell. Well, we're going to use this chart because the other chart doesn't have any price data. And let me know. You said Polygon Track. Let me know if you want me to go back to the ticker symbol POL. I have Matic up. Looks like the price is the same. So, looks like it's still tracking the price of Polygon. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, okay, it's the same. Great. So we have a clear area of descending resistance here. I think Track must have dropped off. Hopefully he'll come back and check out the live stream. And you can see this essentially right here, okay? Chart freezing up. Oh, you know what it was? Hold on a second. You motherfucker. I paused my VPN and it came back on. That's what screwed that up. Okay, so there's a clear area of resistance here. I mean, this is support. We essentially double tapped here. This has been a very weak performer, right? We ran all the way up here. We came down to the thing that I'm not loving about this chart Track is we created a higher low here, right? Meaning we bottomed here at 32 cents and we came back down to here, which was all the way up at 52 cents, which was great, right? We got a high, we had a lower high, and now we've come back down and double bottom. So it's definitely a weaker chart. Not really happy with the Polygon Matic chart. See if I see something else here. You don't know till you chart it. I don't think. Well. Could have a little bit of a falling wedge. Okay, something I just spotted my eye on right now, which would be bullish. So essentially, what you could have. You like to see 3 touches. I mean, I don't really want this thing to come back down here, but it gets more narrow in here and then eventually breaks out. I don't know. With my expectations of the rest of the market, I would expect this thing to start breaking up soon. But clearly, this is a weaker performer Track, and I know you're aware of that. And you're like, I didn't come here for you to tell me this is a weaker chart. I want to understand your view of how things look right now, and that's what I'm about to do. So right around there, we don't have to get too cute. That looks like another area of resistance. Right, that's an obvious one. Okay, we're pressed right up against there. Yeah, so Track, let me tell you what we need to do here, and let me unclutter the chart. So what we need to do is clear 71 cents, right? We need to respect the 31 cent area. Now, recognize if we come back down to 31 cents, there is a high likelihood that we're going to break below it. I know it doesn't seem possible based on where the market's at right now. Anything is possible. And the reason is because this area of support that's been now double tapped, you come down here a third time, you're just flirting with fire. It's the same thing I said about Caspa. I did not want to come back down to 10 cents. Very dangerous proposition. Because then you start entertaining going to 8 cents or 7 cents. It never did, but... Okay, respect the higher low being created right here. This is the first sign that you could see a potential trend reversal to the upside because you have a swing high here and you got a higher low. Now you want to break 70 cents, and even more so to break out above here. Break this descending resistance here. Break up here. Come all the way up to maybe $1.20. You can come back down here. You can retest, and then just start creating those stair steps up towards Valhalla, right? One of the things that you should respect and understand, some of these projects, whether you're talking about a Polygon Matic, or whether you're talking about a Harmony One, or you're talking about a Hedera H-bar, or a Decentraland Mana, the Holy Crypto Trinity, some of these assets that peaked out at valuations in 2021, or at least USD values, some of those aren't going to be touched. Some of these charts are going to create lower highs. It's entirely possible that Matic is going to break $3. However, I'm telling you point blank that this is a weaker chart. So I give credence to the notion that what you could end up seeing potentially, right? I don't want to see this happen because I want to see people who are invested make money, but you could see something like that, and maybe you only ever come up to $2. You create, you come up here and just kind of roll over, That's possible. This is also possible, right? That's also possible, but it's a weaker chart, so it makes me a little bit more hesitant to say that we're going to create new all-time highs, and Polygon Matic is going to $5, $7. It's been a weaker chart. Now, had we respected, if the price action had played out different, and instead we did this, and we came up here, and then we came all the way back down here, if we were doing this, if this is what price, even if we were at 70 cents right now, I would be much more bullish on the idea that Polygon Matic is going to set a new all-time high. But I'm less confident in that assertion. Yeah, we can take a quick look at XDC. I haven't charted that one in a bit. We've had... Oh, my God. What is happening? Oh, no. Okay. All right. Let's leave that page. All my personal information. You don't need to see my personal information. Fucking trading view. You son of a bitch. Don't dox me. What the hell did I do? Yeah, it didn't go to crypto. Fucking trading view. Anyway, sorry. XDC. So XDC was one of those charts where when we were looking at it back here, I said I was very bullish on it just because this market structure was very, very bullish and I loved the chart. But then we just kind of zigzagged down. We broke below here. Now, this is a great example. This is a great example so far. This right here, even though we broke market structure from the support here, this was a deviation. This was a fake out. This was unlike Casper, okay? And since then, what have we been doing? Higher highs and higher lows. We've come back down. We've sort of double bottomed here. And now we've broken out to a brand new all-time high. We're essentially right near, it looks like, prior all-time highs. And I need to update the red lines to be green because those are now areas of support. We're getting real close to breaking 20 cents. Now, this is an example of a chart, unlike Polygon Matic, where I have a high degree of conviction that we're going to see new all-time highs just because the chart's gotten a lot more bullish. Now, could Polygon Matic turn around and do something similar? Absolutely it could. But the reality is it hasn't at the moment. XDC looks primed to break out above 20 cents in the coming months here. Now, we are overbought, as you know. While it's a warning flag, the biggest moves in crypto tend to happen when those RSIs on the higher time frames are above 70. This chart looks awesome. It looks awesome. Looks like it's going to be a very good performer going into the end of this year. Another thing that I wanted to hit on, that actually reminds me, another thing that I wanted to hit on is the idea of, I at least want to give you my thoughts in terms of alt seasons, because this has been a topic of debate. I do not believe there's going to be one alt season. Why do I not believe there's going to be one alt season? An alt season to me is defined as Bitcoin dominance massively dropping and altcoins running a fuck ton hard. It doesn't matter what you own, the fucker runs, okay? That's an alt season to me. history tells us we're not getting one alt season. History tells us we're getting 2 alt seasons. Again, just looking at the past cyclical price action that we've seen, right? However, the interesting thing that I think, it'll be very interesting to see how the alt seasons play out. If you go back to, and this is what I mean, if you go back to 2017, the whole market ran once and then ran twice. In 2021, if you looked at something like an Ethereum Classic, it topped out in the first half of 2021. If you looked at a Harmony 1, we hit 20 cents in the first half and 40 cents in the second half, okay? So it'll be very interesting to see, the point I'm getting to is, this year, while I see no evidence that we're not going to get 2 alt seasons, we're getting 2 alt seasons, is what history tells us. The real question will be, will something like an older coin, like an XRP or Solana at this point, it's already been through a cycle, will some of those projects have their cyclical, euphoric blow off top in the first half and then create a lower high? So for example, maybe XRP jumps up to 550, corrects all the way down to 2, and then runs back up to 490 in the second half. Will that happen for some older projects, or will we just get, XRP blasts off to 550 and then hits $10, $15 in, the end of the year? That's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Yes, Mila Sherman. Mila? Maybe it's Mila? I did cover Caspa, so feel free to rewind. It's I want to say a good 30 minutes into the live stream, 25 maybe minutes into the live stream should be Caspa. It's right after the Bitcoin charts that I covered. Covered a bunch of Bitcoin charts and got into Cas. I did see your comment, Juan, that you're a little nervous. So let me get to this question, and I think we're going to call it a day. I've been on here for almost an hour and 20 minutes. And again, guys, thank you so much for showing up. I've been off the live stream, I know, for a little bit here. Very, very happy to be back. Very, very happy to be doing this. I will be back tomorrow, so make sure to come back. Hoping around normal time, like 5:15, somewhere around there. So, but good to be back. So let me answer this one question there, because I know Juan had reached out. Sometimes, by the way, if you guys post to me or reply, if I don't reply, it doesn't mean that I don't not care. Or it doesn't mean that I don't care. Yeah, there we go. Double negative. It doesn't mean that I don't not care. It doesn't mean that I don't care, and it doesn't mean that I haven't read and value what you've sent to me. Sometimes it's just a time thing. Like I log in and I'm like, oh, okay, reply, and I just don't get back to it. It's just the way it is, the juggles of life. But I did see your post, and so, I'm glad that you're asking this question. For those of you who are going through this for the first time, I sound like I'm in a intervention right now. For those of you who are going through loss for the first time, you will make it out the other side stronger. You can do this. You can do it. You're your own person. Anyway, where was I going with this? For those of you who are going through their first cyclical price action within the market, it's very, very, very important, even more so for the new person in this market, to never let go of something I call common sense and logic in replacement of emotion. In this space, emotions run very hard. People are very impatient. People who have vested interest to tell you unrealistic things will tell them to you at your detriment and to their benefit. Be very careful the information that you digest and who you listen to. That's number one. Number two is make sure that you have a solid sell strategy, which I've spoken about a lot. Now, the question that is specifically being asked here is it worth selling on the first alt season to buy lower for the second one? Here is the answer to that question, and I will be, I think, pretty direct. I would find it hard to believe that, and I've said this before, that by March or April of this year, some of those sell indicators on Bitcoin aren't going to start firing. Again, it's the reason I chose a handful was to simplify my life. The reason I chose a handful was because there's no certainty on any of them. But if you're using a handful and 2 or 3 begin to trigger, probably time to start selling. So the answer to that question is, I do not see a scenario for myself where I'm not selling a decent amount of my positions in the first half of this year. For 2 reasons. 1, I'm anticipating sell indicators to begin to fire on Bitcoin. And 2, actually I guess there's 3 reasons really. Second reason is what I spoke to earlier. Some of these coins could have 1 big run, and some of the bigger narratives like meme coins could have 2 runs. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is, if I see my portfolio triple, 4x, 5x, whatever the case is, based on my life goals and based on the size of my positioning and based on how much euphoria I know is coming in March, April, May, it would be wise for me to take profits. It would be wise. Because even though I want to allow the dust to settle and I feel convicted we're going to have another run going into the end of this year, I don't know that with certainty, right? I preach probabilities and not certainty. So those are the reasons that I'm going to be selling certainly a significant amount of my positions in the first half of this year. Now, another benefit to that is, no one got hurt making money, first off. From a seasonality perspective, the saying is true, sell and may go away. Most years when you look at this from a seasonality perspective and in those cyclical years as well, the 4 years in that last year, euphoric rise, May, June was definitely a good time to sell. And quite oftentimes, and I don't want to jump ahead here, but quite oftentimes, and we'll take a look at such charts. We've done this in the past, but we'll take a look at some charts. I'll give you Harmony 1 as an example. Harmony 1 ran up to like 20 cents. It came all the way down to, I want to say, 7 cents, 6 cents, 5 cents, 4 cents. I don't know. It had like an 80% correction. So think about that. I rode the whole thing. So it went up to 20, came down to like 4 or 5 or whatever the case is, and then rode all the way up and pulled another like 10x, right, up to 40 cents. So the benefit to selling is not only are you taking profits, you're never going to get hurt taking profits. Now you've sealed in some profits. And some of that's going to be based on your goals, your position size. Some people, I'll give you another example. Some people like to say, hey, I started off with $10,000 invested in the market. Now it's worth 50. I at least want to take 10 out. I want to take my principal out. That's a smart thing to do, because now, what are you doing? When you take $10,000 out of the market and that's what you started with, you're letting, now I forget the expression. You're letting your profits ride, okay? You're letting them run. So you've already gotten back what you invested. You haven't lost anything. Now you're letting everything just run. That $40,000, you're like, maybe it doesn't matter to you. You're like, I'm just going to let that motherfucker sit there, and I'm going to be really aggressive on allowing things to run, or I want to be conservative and sell half. Point is, you can sell, you can make a profit, and then you can kind of allow the dust to settle, and you can say, okay, during the summer, let's reevaluate the charts. Is there reason to believe we're going to see this second run, or is there reason to believe we truly have topped in the market and there's only one alt season? Okay? I think it would be, in my opinion, very wise to take some material profits once things are getting frothy this year, in the first half of this year one. I'm not telling you what to do. I never offer any financial advice on this channel. What I offer you is education, wisdom from being here for a while, and authenticity and integrity, right? So I'm just giving you my honest opinion, and I'm giving you how my playbook is going to play out. I'd be happy to take let's use $10,000 profit. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more than that. But I take $10,000 profit, right? I am happy to take that $10,000. Maybe I spend $1,000 on myself and go on a vacation. Maybe I take a couple $1,000s and get a car, whatever the case is. And then, put $4,000 or $5,000 aside and say, I'm going to allow the dust to settle. Maybe I can take the $4,000 to $5,000. Think about this for a second. What if you sold $10,000 in profit? You made your principal back, right? You keep $5,000 aside. And you say, that is the $5,000 I'm going to reinvest into the market if it makes sense. Based on your analysis of the market, you decide it might be very advantageous to buy on some of the massive dips. You reaccumulate, and let's say you increase your position size because things are correcting 60, 70, 80%. You scoop it up. Now, you have to pay capital gains tax. You gotta factor that in because that does matter a lot, okay? Take it from someone, again, who's reported and become very familiar with capital gains tax. You have to take that into account. But if you could take your position size, maybe double it, increase it 50%, where is the fucking harm in that, right? So you've already made money, and now you're reinvesting it in doubling or taking your position size and increasing it by 50%. So, yeah, I think personally, having been here for a while, it would be very wise to take profits in the first half of this year. Again, I do not see a scenario whereby March, April, May at the latest, topping signals are beginning to fire off. I'll keep you guys updated. I don't see a scenario where that doesn't happen. I'd be shocked if it, at least 1 to 2 don't start to fire off. Well, I'm glad that my thoughts are appreciated, guys. I love coming out here and talking market with you because, who else am I talking about the crypto markets with? Absolutely no one. 12 states have now introduced a strategic. This is crazy to read. For someone, I've been in this market for so long, and it's even crazy to think strategic reserves with Bitcoin. I just some of the moon boy tinfoil hat stuff that you would hear about. Some of this stuff is playing out. And it's lunacy to me for someone who is here fairly early on. And telling people about Bitcoin at $3,000, it's crazy. Track, you retracted your message. Not really sure. You were saying about 12 states, Bitcoin standard, and then your comment disappeared. Very happy to be back, Track. Yes, definitely watch it later on. Guys, I think that's going to do it. We've been live streaming for just about 90 minutes. So I think we're going to call it a day. I'm going to have some protein ice cream, chocolate peanut butter. Let's fucking go. And I have other matters to attend to. Busy week for me. But I will be back here tomorrow around the same time, 5:15, maybe 5:30 at the latest. And we'll talk charts. I'm hopeful that there'll be a little bit more excitement. There's always a little bit more of a feeling in the air when the market's very green. Hopefully we'll see some double-digit gainers tomorrow, and we'll be feeling really good. Either way, don't go back to the beginning of the live stream if you missed this. We are concerned about point A and point B. All of this is noise. Do not get caught up in the minutia, right? Do not click on that clickbait fear porn, right? Don't do it. I've been here long enough. I know these things, guys. There's some things I feel very confident in. And also, we should have time tomorrow to do some good TA Q&A. So make sure, when you drop back tomorrow, and I hope to see everyone here back tomorrow, make sure to bring charts that you want me to take a look at. We can chart the stock market, too. If you want to chart, Tesla or Apple, we can take a look. But I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming back. It feels nice to be back. Until next time, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Take care, guys. Good to see you.